What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the motovlog, and welcome to another beautiful ride here in Atlanta, Georgia. So today I want to talk to you about when it's safe to say that you are no longer a beginner motorcycle rider anymore. And yes, all you fast boys on your sports bikes who just started riding are still greener than pretty much a spring pasture. But anyways, are you wondering if there's a a surefire way to tell if you're not a beginner motorcycle rider anymore? And the answer is, I think probably. Although every rider's journey is different. So here are my top signs that will allow you to tell yourself that you're no longer a beginner rider anymore. And no, these won't include souping up your turbo Hayabusa with more horses than in Kentucky Derby, and or that yeet energy adoration that you get at every single bend in the road. So one of the earliest ways you'll begin to realize that you're no longer a beginner is when you don't get that butterfly or giddy feeling every time you saddle up and go out on your bike. Not saying that you'll never get that feeling, just when you go out for coffee or go out for a coffee run on your everyday beginner Yamaha 250, you probably won't get it as much anymore. You'll have figured out all of your fundamentals, and riding will become more matter of fact. You'll just get, pretty much just get on and go, and that giddy feeling that you get when you're a beginner rider will just come when you get on more powerful bikes and or go on unfamiliar roads or unfamiliar territories or grass fields or trails or whatever it is that floats your boat. Anyways, this brings me to my next point, which is that riding will become much more second nature. Beginner riders have a lot of energy that they expend on just the everyday fundamental skills of riding a motorcycle, except you've never seen a student driver sticker on the back of a motorcycle, have you? Beside the point. Anyways, there'll be no more conscious decisions on when to release the clutch and when to shift gears and when to use the back versus the front brake as you approach intersections. But all these behaviors will ultimately become second nature, freeing up that brain power that you can instead be using to channel the conversations that you're going to have with you, yourself, and your alter ego on your rides. So next on my list, you are definitely no longer a beginner rider when you are a low-speed pro. And yes, I said a low-speed pro. Bikes are inherently more stable at faster speeds, but it's the slow-speed maneuvering that gets quite tricky. So try coming to a stop or a full stop, a stop sign, doing nothing but your brake. Don't put your feet down, don't put your feet down. Those U-turns, the footless stops, open heart surgery, if you're an experienced rider or if you're an inexperienced rider, are going to be harder, whereas they'll be much easier, and you'll have the ability to finesse these maneuvers with ease once you become more experienced. But if you're still waddling up to those stoplights like Donald Duck and you're dragging your feet through intersections, you're either pretty much still a newbie or you ride a Harley backer. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, managing the clutch and throttle to modulate the power delivery and just keep your bike from tipping over, all while counterbalancing, slipping the clutch smoothly, and all that other sort of good stuff can take practice, until you get it right. Once you get all that stuff, you'll know. It's a surefire way to tell that you're elevating beyond the beginner rider status. So next, you'll know you're no longer a beginner rider when your abilities catch up to your motorcycle's abilities. Your abilities, you know what I'm saying? That's not to say that just because you have a little bike and a little bit more experience, you should go and upgrade. There are many folks who ride bigger bikes who should be probably going back to the little bikes just to go back to the basics and learn how to actually freaking ride. But as your skills progress, you're going to be able to corner more quickly, brake harder, and finesse your controls. And you may just start to realize that your bike might be holding you back ever so slightly, just slightly. And that motorcycle that once felt so fast will become, it'll probably feel a little bit more, normal, and sometimes even a bit slow. I mean, even if it's not for something faster when you go to upgrade, maybe you realize after you've been riding for a while that you want something more off-road worthy, something that's better suited for city riding, or even something that's better suited for those long-distance touring rides. Next, having a few good long-distance rides under your belt, and no, I don't mean an hour running errands around town. I mean a good long day trip or something like that, can teach you something about your riding style, your pain tolerance, your endurance when it comes to riding, as it requires both physical and mental endurance as you spend extended periods of time on the bike. But riding often for longer periods of time can increase that endurance, that resilience, and that problem solving when it comes to motorcycles, and increase your ability to adapt to changing circumstances, something that everyone, not just us riders, could probably benefit from. And last but definitely not least, you'll know you're no longer a beginner rider when you start to feel like that old guy, quote unquote, right? Offering advice to the other riders. And before you blow up the comments, I know there'll always be that guy, that Chad, who thinks they are an expert after, pretty much riding for just 2 weeks and learning how to shift on that Ninja 250. But what can you do? They're going to be cut from the same cloth as that guy, that Chad, that guy, referencing the spec sheet, swearing that their bike is the best bike ever, also while only barely riding enough to keep the dust from collecting too thick on that bike. Chad, don't comment below. And guys, don't be that guy. Anyways, my friends, that's all I'd have to say about that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up or subscribing to see what else we get into here. Cheers!